Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic about family hosting behavior. And I have an example to kind of talk about why it's important to understand the hosting behavior for family, especially when you are going to be creating your own family. Okay? All right, let's jump right in. Okay, so this topic actually can be a good topic as far as you are the creator of creating your own family, or if you're just a regular user, understand the different behavior of the hosting behavior of different category of families can be useful. But more importantly, this will kind of help you understand or guide you to make better decision when you are creating your own content. Okay, so let's talk about what we have here. So in general, there are different behavior for how a family can interact with your project. So let's say if you go to new family here, look at the list of what we have here. Again, these are the list of the family template you can choose from. The focus we are going to be on today is mainly looking at what we have or what we are offer under the generic model template. And so there are, as you can see, that there are adaptive, ceiling based, face based, floor based, line based, pattern based, roof based, two level, wall based, as well as just generic model. Forget about the adaptive and then the pattern based as well as two level base today. What we are going to be focusing on are mainly the other types. So, which means ceiling face, floor, line base, roof, wall, and just the generic. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the example file that I have here. As you can see that here, I have number of light fixture. I'm just using the light fixture for the sake of the topic. It can be, again, in this case, it could be anything. It could be any kind of category in this regard. It could be furniture, it could be specialty equipment, or anything like that. But I just happen to pick the light fixture as a category to talk about. Okay, so mainly the kind of first rule of thumb when it comes to these four major hosted template, and they are the wall, such as this wall pack here, or anything for ceiling host, such as this pendant light, as you can see here, or a something. I have a floor lamp here. This is actually supposed to be floor hosted. And then the last but not least is the roof hosted content. So these are the content that require the host to place on. So in other words, if I'm going to be placing this wall mounted light fixture, let's just say I'm going to go do a quick example here. If I'm looking for this wall mounted light fixture, I have these wall pack here. I have to have a host. I have to have a wall as a host in order to place this content, because if I'm trying to place it anywhere else, I'm getting the denial basically symbol. I'm getting the no-go symbol, right? So that means that every time I have to place this wall pack, I just have to have a wall there as a host so that you can place it. The similar concept apply to the rest of these wall hosted component, things such as ceiling, like this pendant light or this floor lamp, and then this skylight for the roof. So what I want to bring out when it comes to these wall hosted, floor hosted light fixture is that they are good as long as the host is in present, or meaning that if I have a wall here, after the fixture is placed in there, of course, when I move the wall, all the wall hosted light fixture will gonna go along with it. So in the sense that whenever you're designing something, is good. So that because you might be moving things around. So if you move the wall and all the fixtures that are part of the dependent, so the light fixture will kind of follow along as you go, which is a pretty good concept in Revit. The same thing for this one here, right? So if for whatever reason, if my floor got moved, my floor lamp actually moved along as well. The only downside that you have to consider the negative impact is these wall hosted or these host based families basically. And what are they basically, right? Uh, the negative impact is that is when the host got deleted. So in this case, if I have a floor here, if for whatever reason I decided to delete this floor element, whether I do it on purpose or I did it by accident, you'll see that my light fixture actually got deleted in the process. So think about it in a collaborative environment here. You are not necessarily working by yourself. You're working with as a team. So there are many things that can happen simultaneously or during the design process. And what that means is if someone comes along and they might actually, for whatever reason, they delete the floor by accident. Let's just say that that's the case. Now, anything that hosted to the floor got deleted in the process, right? The good news and bad news is if this was intentional, then that's fine. Well, I don't need this floor. Maybe I don't need the floor lamp fixture either. So it's okay to get deleted in the process. But if the floor got deleted by accident, now you have no idea what else got deleted in the process because Revit just doesn't tell you anything else. Because if you delete the floor, it only got again, you can see the floor got deleted. There were many things that from a visibility standpoint, the floor lamp is not necessarily quite visible when you're deleting the floor. So as a result, things could be really wrong because you might not mean to delete something. Now, not only you delete the floor, but also you have a whole bunch of other things got deleted in the process. So this is one of the decisions that you have to be making if you decided to make content for your project that is again customized content or a content that is going to become the library content for your firm. This decision is actually quite important, you know. So that's again that is one of the negative things that you have to think about when it comes to creating hosted behavior family, like again wall, ceiling, floor, and roof as well. Okay, so now let's switch the focus here a little bit. Okay, the other things that I was going to talk about from that list is there are two to three others template that doesn't necessarily belong to the host, but they are kind of in a way. So these two kinds are basically face-based family and line-based family. So I have an example here. So I have a pendant light that is a face-based object here, face-based light fixture here. So the way that works is if it's a face-based, I'm just going to go ahead and place it like I have it from here. If I'm choosing a face-based light fixture, I'm going to pick this one here. The good thing about face-based template is it's actually quite more flexible. So what it means is you can see that you have two options because I'm in a 3D view. I can either place on face here, like so, or I could place on a work plane. So what that means is I could place on any of this surface in Revit, whether or not it's a floor or a wall or ceiling of a roof, or is it going to be the top of the ceiling, or is it going to be underside of the ceiling? Or even crazier, I can actually place it to this edge of my roof object if I wanted to. Okay, I could do that as well. Kind of like that. You can see that my pendant light just stick to the edge of my roof here. Okay, so in this case, it's actually quite good, right? So the other thing about face-based template is that watch what happens. Now I have, again, it stick to the roof, but now if I delete the roof here, my face bay family actually stay in place. It's not gonna go anywhere. Well, the good thing is here. It's not. It didn't get deleted. It just stays here even though the host got deleted. As you can see that my skylight that was hosted to the roof got deleted because it is a wall host. I mean, it is a roof hosted family, right? So if I go ahead and undo it, so that's one of the advantage when it comes to face-based template or face-based family in general. What about line-based? So I have this track light here that is made as a line-based family. So let's go ahead and take a look at how they behave as well. So line-based family works quite similar to face-based. The only difference when it comes to line-based is that I'm going to go ahead and choose a line-based here. Like this track light. I have to look for the hose, right? So again, it could be any surface of the hose of the element in Revit. It could be a wall, ceiling, roof, and whatever. So let's just say I'm going to put it over here on the floor, right? The only difference between line-based and face-based is line-based require me to click 2 points, basically starting point and ending points, right? So in this case, I'm just going to put ending points so that I can place this track light like so. So if I were to do another one again, I'm going to do create similar. I have to pick a starting point and I have to pick where it ends, and then it will then place the track light for me here. And as a result, of course, it works quite similar to face-based family, meaning that if I delete the host, like so, my line-based track light stay in place. It's just not going to go anywhere. Okay, so what happens is now if I select the family here, you'll see that my work plane that used to be the host will now say not associated. Okay, so I'm going to do that first. The same thing for these face-based family. If I delete the roof as a host, now this face-based family will tell me that the host is not associated. So here's the good news, right? If for whatever reason, if your host got deleted unintentionally by accident, you're not at a complete loss, which actually happens in many cases. A lot of times things happen, the design process is just going fast. Sometimes things got deleted by accident. That happens in real projects. So rather than having a more massive loss, because if all your light fixture is hosted to the roof or the ceiling, if the host got deleted, you have a lot to replace. You have, because especially light fixture could go in a lot of places. It could be in 2 digits in terms of numbers of the light fixture that could go in a project, right? So deleting one ceiling as a result could be massive. You could end up losing a lot of things, not just one ceiling, if those light fixtures are ceiling based, right? So those are the decision making that you have to kind of think about in a project, because sometimes you will be better off by having family that are not necessarily ceiling based. Okay, so again, I'm going to undo that first. Then the question is, okay, you might be asking, okay, should I always be creating content using a face-based template because it's better? Because now if I delete the host, I'm not at a complete loss. Yes and a no, right? So this is one of the things that you have to be the judge, because sometimes there's just no perfect solution. So here's what I'm about to explain why sometimes face-based family is not necessarily the answer. Okay, so here's the thing. Again, I have this panel-like fixture is already hosted to this ceiling here, and my ceiling currently is a flat ceiling, like this case. So that means that, yeah, it's fine. I have a flat ceiling. My panel-like fixture, in this case, is hung by my ceiling that actually vertically. place. But what if I have a slope ceiling in this location? Let's just say I'm going to go ahead and slope my ceiling here, right? I'm going to go ahead and edit my boundary, and I will apply that slope to my ceiling here. 3 to 12 is fine. For now, I'll go ahead and slope my ceiling here. So let's take a look what happened. So now you'll be like, oh, okay, so this one, which is a ceiling host pendant line, now stays vertical, which makes sense because again, your pendant line, because is suspended from the ceiling, your cable or your rod should be vertical. Not so much for the face bay family. You can see that the face bay family now, it sticks to the surface of your hose, but it's always going to maintain that 90-degree perpendicular plane to the hose. So in other words, my pendant light doesn't seem to make sense because there is no way my pendant light is going to go hung at an angle, not vertical like that. Well, but what about if I place a line base light fixture here? Let's go ahead and put a new one here. If I were to place on a sloped surface, this wing probably makes sense because again, if you have a track light, your track light is actually following the slope of the ceiling. That's fine. So you can kind of tell already here, the face bay family or line base family, it doesn't necessarily always be the answer to the solution because it has its own pros and cons. And so you have to kind of make a decision to what works best for you, okay, right? Because it could be maybe some occasions is, yeah, ceiling base is probably the answer, or face base is the answer, or line base is actually the better answer in this scenario, okay? All right, I do have another one over here kind of floating around. So this one is actually I call it non-host. So, but what that means is this one here, I could place it anywhere. So for example, if I am going to place a new one, is a bowler light, I could put on the ground. I could put it over here. I can not, of course, put it on the wall because this one is non-host, or actually non-host. When it comes to non-host, it actually means that it hosts by the ceiling. So that means that it can only go horizontal, like placed in the horizontal plane, which is the level. Of course, I can't place on a ceiling or roof or anything like that. Okay, so the only time this kind of non-host family will get deleted by any of the action is if you actually ever delete the level of your project. So in this case, if for whatever reason I delete the level by accident, which happens in a real project, in a real case scenario, then all my bolt light boulder light actually got deleted. But of course, pretty much everything else you see in this 3D view will get deleted in the process. Because why? Because all your wall, ceiling, roof, as well as floor are the dependent of the level, right? So if we delete the level, as a result, everything actually got deleted in the process. So there will be no light fixture, there will be no roof, walls, ceiling, nothing they cease to exist. Okay, so in this case, like I said, this non-host family seems to maybe survive, right? And with the exception that if something were to happen to the level, then yeah, nothing actually ceases to exist. So then again, ask yourself the question, what happens if I'm creating my family using a non-host template? Wouldn't that be better? Yes, there are things to consider. Actually, there are incentive that actually, if you're using the non-host template to create content for yourself, for your project, actually will be better. Okay, in the future video, I'll actually talk about why I would sometimes prefer using a non-host template to create like fixture or any other things in that matter. Okay, But the takeaway in this video is that it's important to recognize each type of host space family has its own pros and cons, has its own advantage and disadvantage. So not only you need to recognize how they, the types of behavior when it comes to be using in a project, but also if you are creating your own content, ask yourself the question, which template actually works best for you and for your project. Okay, don't just pick any template and just go. Okay, do not do that, because it's just important, and there are consequences that you have to live with if you happen to make the wrong choice of just choosing the wrong hosted behavior template for your family. Okay, all right, that is it. I know it's a little bit of a long video, but I am trying to give a overall view of why this is actually important, why this matters. And in the next future video, I will talk about how I would actually use a non-host template to create something that might be more adaptive or universal. Okay, all right, well, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed my channel, I would very much encourage you to subscribe my channel, my video, and share my video with your friends, with your peers, and give me a thumbs up on this video if you like it. All right, well, stay tuned for my future videos, and like I said, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.